to learn how my ancestors lived. How effective were their tools? How well did they eat? Were they healthy people? Oh, yeah, very. The English write about that time and time and time again. How well proportioned, how comely these people, how clean they are. Contrary to Europeans of the period. No offense intended, folks. They stank terribly. Their breath, their bodies, their hair faces. We often called them dog faces because they had so much hair on them. But be that as it may. Here, I'll do this instead. Let's go to what you'd like to go to. You wouldn't want to get struck with that. You know what that is. And even though the Powhatan made at least two types of war clubs that we know, and this is one of them, they made a flat sword-like club as well. It was rather sharp on the edges and could be used like a sword. It was only about that long. Smith found out when he got captured. Of course, the story of John Smith getting captured, you want me to tell you the true story? And Pocahontas, you want to know that true story? I'd be happy to share it with you. It's not what you were taught in school, I assure you. I have here a long bow, a self bow. I have two of them actually. As you can see, one's slightly shorter. Generally, bows are going to be based before people climbed up on horseback. And I must mention, in the eastern woodlands of North America, it's a different environment altogether than the Great Plains, far Midwest, right? Yeah. And we're farmers for over 4,000 years. Make no mistake, we're warriors too. The people of the Great Plains said they don't go into those eastern forests. And when asked why, because we don't come out. All right? Now, if you're a farmer and every bit of land that you have cleared around your villages is under cultivation and of garden variety vegetables and orchards, I might add, where the heck are you going to graze large livestock? You got to take care of them. Yeah. We had no grazing land for horses or cattle, sheep, goats. You want to trade for those? No, thank you. We'll take a few pigs and chickens. They take care of themselves. All right, pretty much. Forget the large livestock. And maybe the chief later on in colonial period would have a mule or a horse, but there were maybe one in the village. And we sometimes, or mostly always, used them for pack animals, not for riding. Okay, we used dogs before horses with packs. Okay, well, how do you think the traders moved so much in the way of trade along those inland trade routes? Or all over the place, actually. Okay, let me tell you this. I think I'll just leave this hung for now. Always hang your bows and arrows. Okay. I have, instead of a twisted deer rawhide or gut string, and up to 50 pounds draw weight, I can use dog bane, which is a natural plant fiber to make bow strings. Sinew. I have all kinds of choices for prehistoric bow strings. This is Irish linen. Twine. And it's bundled and you know, made into a cord for a bowstring. I could have acquired this in trade with Portuguese, Spanish, and other traders in the 1500s on this coast. So by the time the English arrive here, we already have European trade goods. We've got metal tools, glassware, bolts of cloth. We've got shirts, metal fish hooks, projectile points, copper cones, copper scrap to make, because that's status among native people in eastern North America, copper. The bow is generally gauged to your height, all right? It just so happens that I'm about the right height for this bow, but Actually, this is a replica bow of one of 3 bows now housed in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, England. They believe taken from the Powhatan people in 1656 or 8, depending on the documents you read. Yes, this is probably one style of bow of maybe a dozen different styles of bows that were being made by the Powhatan and other cultures. Native people are quite diversified, I assure you. And your weaponry, your tools, your houses, your food, your medicines are all going to be the result of your environment where you live. And the eastern woodland, the coastal margin of North America east, is a great hardwood forest, the Appalachians and the near Midwest. But then the forests start to thin out as the inland gets drier, and you have tall grass prairie in the far Midwest, and then cross the Mississippi and you have short grass prairie. And then go into the Rocky Mountain Pacific coast and you have evergreen forests. You don't have hardwood forests. That's only here in the eastern part of North America. Ever think about that? And there were diversified native cultures inhabiting each of those environments for thousands of years. And north to south as well as east to west, the climate varies. You think we were diversified people of many cultures and many dialects of quite a few languages, actually about 300 throughout the Americas, and over 1,000 dialects of those 300 languages. 3 different base languages spoken here in Virginia alone when Europeans arrived. Distant dialects of Siouan and Iroquoian, as well as Algonquin, or more appropriately, Wapanaki. They got that wrong too. Algonquin, that's a tribe up there in eastern Canada. I digress. So, Irish linen for the string in this particular case. In the arch of my foot, grab mid, push. Immediately the bow is strung. This is a 55 to 60 pound draw weight. It's a good hunting bow for any large game in North America or for raiding, I assure you. It will send an arrow 110 yards in flight. However, most of your hunting and fighting is going to be done at 20 to 40 yards. And it's said these were very accurate at that range. We even made arrows that, if we could get a direct hit on metal breastplates with these, I'm drawing all of them because I have things to share with you that you probably do not know. When you go to that museum, you will see many stone triangles in the display case excavated right inside this fort. Well, not all of them were shot at the English, although many of them were. There were also many that were being made right here in this fort to tip arrows to trade with the English, as well as baskets, as well as hides, as well as bows, as well as native clothing. You think these Europeans didn't want that stuff made by these New World savages to send back to their manor houses in Europe to show off to their friends and family? All these things were in great demand. Go over and see the lithograph in the museum, early lithograph of a trader, a European trader who's holding a strand of shell beads. That's another thing, shell beads. Handmade wampum beads. Peak. Wampum peak. Shell beads. Wampum peak. Early currency before the Dutch started mass producing it, and it lost its value immediately. So they went to pounds of tobacco after that for everything. But be that as it may, shell beads. you'll see him. He has a strand of shell beads, and he's got some Indian arrows in the other hand. And the natives who are trading with him are holding a bolt of cloth and an English hat or something like that. All right? And we'll get into that, but also they want these. Now, early on, they want food in a bad way here, right? We all know that story. And it's the English gentlemen that are causing all the problems. Okay, the elite. We're going to continue living our lives as we did in Europe. We're going to issue out orders to the common sort. And otherwise, we're going to sit on our duffs and hoard everything that we can hoard to stay comfortable while the rest of you starve if you have to. With a cup of bran or wheat per day, per man. That's what you got to eat, folks. First 6 months at least. And even after that. And oh, by the way, they said too, when you got your cup of bran or wheat to boil your daily ration, and you had water to drink, that was it. Because the gentleman sorts are hoarding all the aquavitae and anything alcoholic. They're hoarding that, as well as beef, biscuit, all that they've traded with the sailors for, right? Who are pilfering most of the provisions anyhow. The sailors are trading with natives in the heat of the dark of night and for stuff like this. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, see, all things are connected. We know this. We've always known this. Now, arrows. Here is the bow. I don't hand it out so much anymore because it gets twanged a lot if I do, and you don't do that. But here, I'm going to pull just one here real quick, because some of you have to continue your journey. The arrow, very characteristic of mid-Atlantic, south of the Potomac River, all the way to the Gulf and inland to the Appalachians. That is the area where our only native cane in North America grows. It's called river cane. It's not bamboo. It is river cane. This is river cane. It gets up to about 1.5 inches in diameter and can get up to like 15, 20 feet tall. All right? Native people had long been making arrows throughout the mid-Atlantic southeast of river cane. Some of them tipped with hardwood foreshafts, which this one is. That adds a little weight to the front of the arrow and causes it to arc better in flight, for one thing. Believe it or not, cane doesn't shatter that easily on impact.